Welcome to the Hilarity Ensues podcast, hosted by Donna, the queen of quick wit, and Jeff, the dean of devious double entendres. Together, they're on a mission to find the funny in life using nothing but their critical thinking skills and sarcasm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hilarity Ensues. I'm your host, and joining me here today is my co-host,
Jeff.
As Donna and Jeff are here today. And today we're going to do something that we swore that we would never do, which is discuss politics on our show. But as the election season, as we're in the midst of it here and people are getting their panties all in a bunch, I figured it'd be a good time to really discuss on a surface level the process of our election system that we have in this country. And I decided to bring it up, Jeff, because we have two parties that are running. We have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And we have the nominee for the Republican Party is Donald J. Trump. The nominee for the Democratic Party is Kamala Harris, current VP. And we have these divides in our country where people almost want to die on a sword for people they don't know at all. She's a great person, he's a great man, or she's a horrible person, he's a horrible man. And a part of me is like, outside of seeing them on their scripted platform, what do you know about this person?
Exactly. They don't know anything.
They don't know. And here's where we have it. Okay, so this November, we're going to have our elections for president and other officials. Our midterm elections actually are a lot more powerful than our presidential elections. Our midterm elections is where we vote for senators and congressmen and local city officials within our districts. And that's where the power lies. So I want to kind of give you somewhat of a analogy as to how this works. I look at the Democratic and Republican Party actually as two different sides of the same coin. It's kind of like a bad marriage.
Yep, been there.
Yeah, I've been there. So it's a bad marriage. But unlike you, this is a bad marriage where people are choosing to stay together. Okay. We all know someone that they are in a bad marriage and they refuse to part ways. And that's kind of like what the Democratic and Republican Party remind me of, a bad marriage. Two sides of the same coin. They have opposing views. They fight. When they need to get together to make a decision, they will. They'll bicker about it, but ultimately, they'll work things out. And they have some degree of an allegiance to each other, as opposed to what I call the side chicks or the side guys. Okay. And when it comes to presidential elections, we, the voting public, we're the side pieces.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And what happens with the side piece? They make all kinds of promises. Oh, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to get this for you. And things are going to be different with you. And they never, ever, ever hold up to the promises.
Yep. And we keep coming back for more.
And the side pieces keep coming back for more because they believe in them. They said they were going to do it. For whatever reason, they couldn't do it. But, I have faith in this person. And there's a reason why we don't have a real three-party system here, because that's kind of bordering on polyamory. And they don't want to invite a third person into the mix. So, it's a lot easier to navigate, even though we don't like each other, or we put on a front that we don't like each other, to navigate amongst each other. So far, Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I didn't use that exact analogy, but I do like it. But yeah, it's pretty much like a uniparty. I stole that from somebody else, but it's really the same thing. Pretty much what you said, two sides of the same coin. They might just approach it differently or word it differently, but their main goal is just greed and control over the masses and serving their corporate masters. So whatever the corporate masters tell them how they feel about a certain topic, that's what they're going to say. They'll promise you one thing and then they'll deliver another, both sides. And it's crazy that they keep doing that over. I mean, this is generations, and people are still not figuring that out.
No, and it's a conditioning of our culture, this party allegiance. People are born into parties and they pledge these allegiances to them. I have no skin in the game. I am not a registered Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent voter, and I've voted on both tickets before in the past, but I'm not swayed by a party. And I meet people all the time. They're kind of like dying on that hill, like, no, I really understand their policies. And like, what policies? And it's like talking points. I like their stance on X. Well, what is their stance on X? And they can't tell you.
They can't answer.
They like it. They like it.
Right.
So here's where I want to encourage people. Before I go out into the midterms, I want to ask you this, Jeff. We have a lot of people out there that's not happy with both candidates that are being presented. And there are people out there that think they should hold their vote. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a loaded question. Well, it depends on your state. I mean, just keeping it 100. So I'm in a fully red state. There's no doubt this one's going to Trump, no matter what I do or talk to my circle of friends or family. So it's just like, yeah, if you're in that state, you just got to deal with it. If you're in like a purple state, maybe you can get some people together and swing it to whichever way you want to swing it, possibly over time. But yeah, a lot of people say, well, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Well, you can complain. It's a free country. You can complain. You can protest. But I hear that and see that a lot on the social media. Like, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Like, yes, you can complain. It's fine. But it really, in a lot of states, it doesn't really matter a whole bunch. I know that kills a lot of dreams, but in many states, they're just pretty solid blue. New York is going to be blue. Illinois is going to be blue. California is going to be blue. Definitely Florida is going to be red. Texas is going to be red. So it's just like, why, in certain states when it's like, not quite an avalanche, but it's pretty solid. Like, why would you even waste your time doing it? I don't know. This is my thought. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Electoral College, and what you're trying to say in a nutshell, is that the Electoral College is what determines the state's votes. But there's also that popular vote where at times has come in to play during that time where it's been very tight. I don't believe in people saying they're going to hold their vote for this reason. If you're holding your vote in the midterms, whether you vote for the president, you're continuously holding your vote. So you're not a voter. Now, if you say I vote, I'm an active voter in the midterms. If you say I'm an active voter in the midterms, I come out for all the elections and I'm coming out for the presidential elections. But this go around, I am sitting this out because I do not, align with either candidate that's being presented. That's a different thing. But to say you're withholding your vote as you think it's some form of protest, because here's the thing, is that when we get into midterms, that's where the power lies. So I'm going to transition right now. Midterm elections. I live in a neighborhood where city officials, city government is very big, and people contact their Congress person, their state senator. They contact them religiously and say, we need this. This is happening. We don't like this. California, it's no secret. They have a huge issue with homelessness. Where I live in California, we're starting to see encampments starting to build up, and people are on their phone contacting their local officials and saying, we're not tolerating this. And if you don't do something about it, we will not vote for you.
Yep, that's some action going. Yep.
That's power. And what people do, because I've had some people that I know work campaigns for different officials, is when they receive those calls, you know what they do? They go and they look at, how are you registered? Are you an active voter? And for someone like me who falls in an independent category, we're the ones they're trying to sway, because they know it could go either way. So now we're getting into midterm elections. And this is why I say here's where your power is. Midterm elections. You know who the side pieces are?
What's that?
The candidates.
Yeah.
They are trying to please you. And you know what you can do? You can say, I'll vote for you. I'll show up for elections. I'll tell my friends and family. And you don't have to keep those promises, but you're going to say what you want to get what you want from those politicians.
Right. If they don't do it, they know they're out shortly after.
They know they're out. They know that you're going to move. They know that you have options. And when you are positioned as a side piece in politics, you have no options. And so that's what we're experiencing now with the presidential election. People feel they don't have any options. And the reason why is because they're functioning as a side piece.
Mm-hmm.
That's my analogy on politics.
It
Don't be a
is.
side piece.
Yeah, you got to stay away from the side piece, but yeah, we got to do something different for sure. Because we've been side pieces for a while, and it sucks.
Yeah. And if you'd ask anyone, have you ever been a side piece? No. Yes, you have.
Yeah, at least politically, yes.
Politically, you have been. You've been lied to. You've been made promises to. Your heart has been broken.
And it's just crazy watching, a lot of stuff on YouTube or just regular cable TV. The people screaming about their candidate X or candidate Y. They did this, or they're going to do this, that, and the third. And it's like you can provide facts. Like, no, they did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll just switch to what is it, but and but or whatever it is. When you just switch over to the other candidate, but the other person said this. Like, no, let's focus on your candidate that said he or she was going to do X, Y, and Z, and they did it. They're not. Let's stay on task, stay focused on your candidate, and not talk about the other candidate. I mean, yes, there is a comparison contrast, but people need to stay focused.
And I'm going to throw darts at both sides right about now.
Mm-hmm.
Republican Party, they brought in the chick with the writing on her forehead to speak at their convention.
Oh, Amber Rose?
There we go. They brought her in.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, no disrespect to her. She seems like a very articulate person. One of the few people that was prepared to actually give a coherent speech that obviously someone probably crafted for her. But when she's been called on the carpet about it, because first of all, they said she was a rapper. She's not a rapper. Let's get that clear.
I don't know how they came up with that.
Has she slept with some rappers?
Yes.
But
she's rapper adjacent.
She's rapper adjacent. She's not a rapper. Okay. She had, I won't talk about what she did in her younger years because we all did sketchy things in our younger years. So what she did back then is no indicator of the person she is today. But I will say this: 6 years ago, she was doing what they call them, slut walks.
Slut walks, yeah.
And
proud of it.
And proud of it. Hey, no shade. If that's you, do you. However, she's speaking on behalf of a party that is really targeting women's reproductive rights and their freedoms as women. And that was the very thing that her slut walks were about. So when she says she likes his policies, I really want to know, what specific policies do you like?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I need you to be specific. Okay. Now I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to go over to the Kamala Harris, her campaign. She's doing stuff and she's doing full out concerts for people. She's bringing in Meg the Stallion and all these actual rappers, like real rappers, to entertain people. And I think this is one big mass distraction to get people focused on very surface level things so that they don't ask questions when it comes to bigger issues.
100%. Yeah, it's a smokescreen for sure.
So it's like three card Monty, and the magic and the illusions of it all. So I'm encouraging people here. We're not laughing a lot right now, but I'm encouraging people here, and the reason why I'm doing this now is because if I don't do it now, you might be crying later and it'll be harder to laugh. So, call these political candidates out on the carpet, ask them questions. What is your plan? And whatever thing means anything to you, chances are it means something to thousands of other people. But challenge them, because if they hear the same questions being asked to them repeatedly, they have to address it. Let's not
give another concert.
Yeah. We don't want another concert. We don't want you to pull hot sauce out your purse and tell us that you like it. We don't want, any of those shenanigans. Right. We want you to really focus not so much on winning, but what you're going to do for we the people.
Actual policy, and then who, what, where, why, when, how.
Yeah. Let's stop talking the buzzwords. Oh, I'm going to be tough on immigration. Okay. How does that play out? What is your definition of tough? Besides saying I'm going to seal the borders. That's easier said than done. What do you plan to do on that? What do you plan to do with right now? I think unemployment is creeping back up and we're in a recession right now. You go to the supermarket, food is expensive out there.
Yeah. What are you going to do about that inflation?
What are you going to do about that inflation? And what people don't see, Hamlet, is shrinkage. There's inflation and there's inflation by shrinkage. So
Shrinkflation, it's a real thing.
it's a real thing. So, you could go to a supermarket and you can get a 18-ounce box of cereal. That cereal is $3. And then what they do, they say, you know what, we're not going to give them 18 ounces. We're going to give them 14 ounces, but we're still going to charge them the same. That's inflation, whether you recognize it or not.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do, about inflation? What are they going to do about, food deserts in certain areas of our country? What are they going to do about, produce in certain areas? What are they going to do about meals in school? I saw the other day, did you see that woman that during COVID stole like $1.5 million worth of chicken?
No, I didn't see that one. I don't remember that one. That's wow.
She was sentenced, I want to say she was sentenced to 11 or 15 years in jail. I'm not quite sure. She was sentenced to a significant amount of time in jail. And here's what happened, how she got caught. During COVID, public schools, they were ordering food to go out to children within the area, and she was ordering chicken. How she got caught was the chicken she was ordering. Typically when schools order chicken for students, it's boneless because the obvious, it's a hazard if it has bones in it. She ordered it with bones, and I don't know what she did with $1.5 million worth of chicken, but she sold it. I don't know who she sold it to, what she did. I don't think she ate it. That's a lot of chicken, but she was sentenced to jail. And there are two sides of that argument. Well, it was a hard time economically for people, and, it might have been a financial need for her. One football player said he'll pay the $101.5 million so she doesn't have to serve that much jail time. But the bottom line, she must like chicken.
They say you must like chicken.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of chicken. But the bottom line is people are doing some really wild things to make ends meet. And I was watching, there's someone on Instagram, I can't remember his name, but he did an Instagram post where for 24 hours, he ordered DoorDash and he tipped the drivers $800.
Whoa, each
tip was $800. And he started around 10 o'clock in the morning and it ended at like after 12 midnight. And he was ordering like once an hour, twice an hour. Toward the end of the day, you could see he was just ordering like Jamba Juice or something like that being delivered. But there were people that you can see it when he was handing them that money. One woman started crying.
Right. It's got to be emotional. That's a lot of dough.
That's a lot. And if someone's out there delivering for DoorDash or Uber Eats, $800 in this economy is life-changing money to some people.
Yeah.
And that's what that entire feed showed, was that every time someone came through and some of them didn't even speak English, and they were like, for me? And I pointed like, for me? He's like, yeah. And all they knew how to say in English was thank you. They just was floored. But back again, $800 in this economy can be life-changing for some people.
Yeah, that could be a difference between paying rent this month and not paying rent.
Having the lights on, having the lights off, having the phone on, having the phone off, eating or not eating. So those are the things you need to call up your senators and say, what are we going to do about that? Got to be the squeaky wheel.
Yep, or else they don't know that it needs oil unless you squeak.
Yeah, squeaky wheel gets the oil. So that's what we got to do. We got to squeak, 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 squeak. But on a lighter note, Jeff, let's make this a little lighter here. We're going to shift gears. Did you ever run for any kind of office when you were in school? Class president?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I thought about it. I was still in my shy stage till like the end of high school. And then after that, I became the Jeff that you know. How about you?
I had no desire to do that. I really, I did think that I had a good sphere of influence without being in an office. So dealing with a whole other demographic of students that I probably didn't like wasn't really appealing to me. I didn't have that altruistic bone in my body at that time where I'm like, I want to serve my fellow classmates.
Right. This seemed like a bunch of extra work for nothing, for no pay. That was what I was thinking. Like, I just want to get through school and just have a stress-free day.
Yep. So, and, promising people the things that you can do. But before I forget, because I do want to give acknowledgement, Instagram It's Mr. Chime Time, and his name is Rashad Morman. He's a North Carolina foodie who does reviews, and he's the one that was tipping DoorDash drivers $800. So go ahead and check him out because I thought it was a cool act.
Right. Shout out to him. That's serious right there.
Yeah. But yeah, back to no, I had no desire to do that. I respect people that have that level of dedication to serve academically. No, that wasn't me.
Not at all. How about in college?
I went to PWI. I went to PWI. So, there's a small population of African Americans, and I wouldn't have been able to sway that vote.
Yeah, same here. My percentage was pretty small too. I was like, no, I was too busy having fun at that point.
But let me rephrase that. What I did do, I was for resident housing. I held an office for resident housing for my dorm for like a semester, and that ended after that.
How was that? Crazy?
Well, I didn't have a presidential role. I had a supporting role, but still, it was a lot of work. And fast forward, when my youngest daughter went to college, she worked for resident housing as well. And then it reminded me of a lot of the challenges I experienced when I was in college. And when she would complain about an easy job, but it's not an easy job, dealing with students and the politics within school, I understood her frustration.
Yeah, she told me a few of those little stories. I was like, okay, that's what you signed up for. But she made it through without fighting anybody.
She made it through. So, but the bottom line here is get under the skin of your local and state politicians. Let them know what you want. Let them know what you need. They don't know a problem exists unless you tell them a problem exists. So you got to tell them.
That's a true story. Yeah, you got to make those calls, and sometimes you will have to do it multiple times for sure, but you'll get the hint over time.
Either you be the player or you be the side piece in politics.
Right.
Be the player.
Sounds like a good t-shirt idea.
You know what? Might put some up for our elections season here coming up. Are you the player or the side piece?
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up another episode here today, Jeff.
Yeah, that was a good discussion. We didn't get too political. We got political, but not political at the same time.
Yeah. And for the slow people in the back of the bus, I am not endorsing either candidate here on this platform. I'm just pointing out the obvious. I'm not going to tell you to do your research because people say that all the time. Do your research on candidates. No one's out there doing no research. No one's out there reading any lengthy document out there. No one's doing it.
No. They're having too much fun on TikTok. That's
so
rolling.
I'm not going to tell you to do your research. What I am going to tell you to do, look at your life. What do you need? And call some people up at your state capitol and say, this is not flying for me. And if you want to stay in office another term, we need to see some changes in our community.
Right. Yeah, you got to start locally because no matter who wins at the top, life is not going to really be that much different.
No, it's not.
They said that the last several elections, it's, roughly the same. It's not going to be that much different.
Same soup, just a different chef.
Yep. Same old soup, just reheated.
Yeah. But everyone, I want to thank you for tuning into another episode of Hilarity Ensues.
And please check us out on IG, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you listen to us, make sure you listen all the way to the end on any podcast so we get the credit. Like and subscribe. Share the show with everyone you know.
That's right. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Hilarity Ensues. Our fantastic music soundtrack is brought to you by TL Music Productions exclusively for Hilarity Ensues. Be sure to connect with us on social media by following Hilarity Ensues Podcast.